Good morning, everybody. Just a quick note. Not sure why it's doing this, but this doesn't appear to be the webinar format of Teams, but we're going to make this work anyway. We are recording this, and we will share this recording after we are done. And unfortunately, as Melissa has been teasing me, these webinars into the kiss of death for certain product launches. The information related to the Ruckus whiteboard, that will not be shared today. There's a couple of challenges that the team is experiencing, so that is actually getting postponed. And we will be sharing information upcoming with that later on. Please reach out to Kyle Boudreau directly if you have any questions related to that. And we will send out a reminder of that specifically at the end as well. If possible, can participants mute? I hear somebody in their car. There's a lot of you on this call. So if you could do that and mute yourself, that would be fantastic. I'm gonna actually Melissa, I'm gonna mute everybody and then just confirm back. You can override that.
All right, I think we should be good. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome.
So with that, once you enable your screen to go full, I think we should be good to go. And again, just as a quick note, we will have a Q&A time just in the chat feature. Just have that question, and we will cover that as well.
Are we good? Is the screen good now?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. Looks amazing.
All right. Well, I like hearing that. So I am so honored all of you have taken time out of your day to join me this morning. We are very excited to be kicking off some new electrical for Pirouette, which I think is long overdue. So as Nathan had mentioned, our agenda has been simplified a little bit. I am the only one talking today about the Pirouette electrical. So if you can send in your questions via chat during the presentation, we can address them all at the end. I'm going to cover a lot of information, and I may answer your question throughout the training. So that's probably going to be the most efficient way to handle this going forward. So I appreciate your patience. So we are going to talk about new electrical that is going to be available on Pirouette. We are launching next week, Wednesday, which is November 17th. So I wanted to give you guys the tools that you need and a general understanding prior to launch. So as soon as we launch and all the tools are available in your hands, you can start selling it. So what are we doing? We are updating electrical on all tables, powered tables, benching, desking, and trellis. Basically, any product that currently offers our single circuit activate system or corded modules is going to be updated. This is a huge project for us here at KI, as this is a pretty big change for us. So we are going to work as quickly and efficiently as possible, but this will be a rolling change, and it could take up to 2 years to get it complete. So please, again, remember that we are working as fast as we can, but it will take some patience to get through this process. So why are we doing it? So currently KI owns our own modules. We own PowerUp and Villa, and when technology changes, such as needing to add USB-A or USB-C to modules, it's on us to actually modify those modules to have the most current technology. This is not only time consuming, it's resource extensive, and it has a lot of challenges when we do that. Our Villa module is the only module that we have with USB-A charging, which has become a standard in modules. But we've gotten a lot of feedback that with its location below the edge of the work surface, those large plugs don't fit because they're interfering with the edge of the work surface. PowerUp has the pop-up design, but we tried to get USB-A charging into that module, and it was a pretty big project with a lot of resources required. So it was a challenge for us, and it's difficult because, we have our challenges with Villa and plug orientation, and then now PowerUp doesn't have USB-A charging. And we know that USB-C charging is becoming a more common request in the industry. So that would only put us behind the USB-C charging if we got USB-A in. Our Activate system has been with KI for quite a few years, and we've had our struggles with that as well. We are getting more and more complaints that we can't use it in places where there's GFCI outlets or backup systems. And these are common configurations in floor monuments as there's new builds with codes that have changed. So we knew that this was going to continue to be a problem going forward. So, and then really the nail that went into the coffin that really forced us to do something sooner rather than later was Kyle put some new electrical on fixed seating several months ago. So now we have inconsistent electrical options and modules within our furniture. So generally when Pirouette is used in the front row within fixed seating, we didn't have a consistent module offering. So we really want to get all of KI into a consistent offering. So those are our current state issues. So what are we accomplishing? We have partnered with a technology company. So they are a resource to us. They are the expert. They can watch the trends. They follow the electrical component suppliers, and they tell us what needs to happen with our technology, and then we can just put it into the furniture. We are furniture manufacturers, and technology and electronics is not really our thing, so it's great to have a partner that can bring this to us. It allows us to bring updated technology and products to the market more quickly by working with them. So I mentioned this is going to be a long transition, and we will be updating all products. So as of next Wednesday, Pirouette will be available with new electrical modules, as well as our new single circuit system. And then we will work diligently to get that added to Pillar shortly after, since many times those products are planned within the same spaces. And we'll continue to work through the list of products that are on your screen in roughly that order based on resource availability. There is no overall project timeline on when this will be complete, but we do know that basically we've opened a can of worms, and now we need to continue to push that transition through all of KI products. So let's talk a little bit about the new modules. We have a broader selection now than we will have a broader selection next week actually than we do now. So each module was selected to give a variety of options to KI and have acceptable replacements for our current offering of PowerUp and Villa. Each module will offer a mix of power outlets, USB-A and USB-C charging, and data ports where possible. There are a few exclusions, and we'll talk about those. Most of these modules have a modular design, and that makes it easy for us to customize these modules as technology changes. The KI solution has a variety of price points that are competitive in market. In many cases, this is the same module as our competitors are using, so we have very good competitive data to know that we are competitive. And all modules are UL listed and spill tested, so that's really important that we maintain that. So things to know about this change. There's a significant change to this new program than what we're used to. Each module will now have a unique cutout shape and size. And so there's a little graphic there on the screen. It shows 3 rectangles that are all different sizes overlapping. Each cutout is going to be a different size, and we can't just replace one module in the place of the other. So this will be a change for us, whereas PowerUp and Villa currently use the same cutout. We have developed metal grommet options for each of our module options, but none of the modules will require it. Currently, Villa has a Villa grommet that's required with the Villa module. That will not be the case of any of our new options. So these grommets would be specified for wire management or as a placeholder if you wanted to potentially add a module later. So we wanted to make sure that you had maximum flexibility to add whichever module you wanted to later. And at the end of this training, we will discuss what the future transition for COQ replacements and updates to existing modules will look like, because I'm sure that is a question that you have as well. So a little bit of generic module information. We wanted to have a good, better, best scenario for our in-surface power. So you have more options in the future than you have currently to meet more budget needs. Each module will be available in 4 standard KI colors, and those are cool gray, warm gray, black, and cottonwood. And we're trying to make this consistent across all product lines. So that would be consistent with fixed seating, as well as some of the other modules that we are currently getting from the same supplier. Corded modules will have cord lengths of 9 foot and 15 foot. That has not changed from our existing offering. And just so you are all aware, we will be using our supplier module names with a generic description. So some of these module names will sound familiar, or you may have already seen them on other products. So to start out on the module offering, for in-surface modules, Node in-surface is going to be our good option. This means it's going to be our least expensive module option. The great thing about this one is it has a round cutout, so if you don't have power and you want to add power, it's easy to put that 3-inch round cutout into the work surface after the fact if you don't order it that way from the factory. This module is configured with 1 power outlet and a USB-A and USB-C charging port. So USB-A has been a standard for a while. USB-C is new technology that's coming online. Basically, any new Apple product will have the USB-C cord at this point, so we expect that there will be more and more demand going forward for USB-C. This module is available in either a pattern or a 3-prong plug, and we will talk more about pattern in the future, but that is our single circuit system that we will be adding. Again, this is our entry-level in-surface module with a low price point, and the list price on a corded module is $240. Our next better option is going to be Dean in-surface, and this we would really consider our Villa replacement. But this module sits flush on the work surface, so we don't have the large plug interference issues that we have with our current Villa module. It does come with 2 power outlets, a USB-A and a USB-C charging port, and an open data port. When modules are configured with the data port, we automatically include a data tree, just like you're used to with our existing modules, to give you options for HDMI or just putting a cover on it. This module is available with pattern or 3-prong plug and has a medium price point of $322 as a corded module. And our best option is our Naker pop-up. So this is a push to open module, very similar to our power-up module. But it does feel a little bit beefier than our existing power-up option. This module is configured with 2 power outlets, a USB-A, USB-C charging port, and also an open data port. Again, this one is available with pattern or 3-prong plug and is our high price point of $382 for a corded module. We wanted to make sure that we had a full offering, so an undersurface module, we will be using the Doobel module. This would be our Ashley Duo under replacement. It is currently configured with 2 power outlets and a dual USB-A. Our supplier is working on having this module available with USB-A, USB-C, just like the rest of our modules. And at that point, when it's available, we will transition to a USB-A, USB-C. This one is available with pattern or 3-prong plug and has a low price point with a corded module being $240. And then finally, we have our Dean clamp-on module. This one would be our Ashley Duo clamp-on replacement. It is configured with 2 power outlets, a USB-A, USB-C, and it can be placed on any work surface 3/4 inch to 1.25 inch thick, so it works on any of our education or contract table product lines. It is available with a pattern or 3-prong plug and has a price point of $327. So that's an overview of what the module options will be. I had mentioned that we have developed a series of in-surface grommets to support each of these cutouts. So you can see the different grommets pictured there. Again, these would be used in wire management situations or if you wanted a placeholder to add the module later. So now we are going to talk a little bit about pattern, which is our single circuit system, which will be replacing Activate in the long term. And I'm going to show you an animation that kind of shows how everything works together. So it's that easy. Really, it's going to be similar to our Activate solution on Pirouette. However, there are some differences between the two, and that's what we'll spend our time talking about today. So Pattern, it is a modular system. It's considered a branching corded system. It can power up to 20 power units, so it has more capability than our Activate system has. It allows for maximum jumper lengths of 50 feet or 600 inches from the first to last distribution block. So again, more capability. It's non-sequential. It's great for long runs, perimeter tables, as well as benching. And it is ETL listed. So ETL listing is considered equal to UL listing. And it's important that if we have questions regarding this, that you know that this is listed to the same standard as our existing, or it's a different standard, but the same, it is listed the same way our UL system with Activate was. So talking about pattern maximums, there are several things that go into determining what the maximum is when you are planning with pattern. The first and most important is that it is a 15 amp system with 12 amps sustained. This is the same as Activate, where you can only pull so much power from the system. So regardless of how many modules you have plugged in, you need to make sure that your usage is supported within that 12 amps. Up to 20 power modules, and this is, best case scenario. A lot of times our planning won't allow for that, but it does prove that this system is more capable than Activate. Or 10 distribution blocks, which we'll talk more about the important part those play in pattern in the next couple slides. And then up to 50 feet of jumpers per in-feed. As I had mentioned, Pattern is a single circuit plug-and-play system similar to Activate. However, it does plan differently. One of the biggest differences is that it uses distribution blocks. So if you're familiar with Activate, it had a plug on the end of each module that would allow you to connect jumpers to it and connect them together. This is a similar concept. However, it's a standalone block that would be separate from the cord. We have made this as easy as possible to order so that there's no confusion, as we have included these in the jumper kits and the in-feed kits, so you don't need to order them separately. There are 2 distribution blocks. One is the white in-feed distribution block, and that is different from the gray jumper distribution block. So when you order an in-feed kit, you will automatically get the white in-feed distribution block and a gray jumper distribution block. And when you order a jumper kit, you automatically get the gray jumper distribution block. A lot of these images you're going to see in this presentation going forward are directly out of the Pirouette planning guide. So we have made that as extensive as possible. So you don't need to worry about taking notes on exactly the differences. You will have resources to go back to. The white in-feed distribution block allows you to do the in-feed in and then 2 jumpers out, as well as power 1 power module. So why is this important? This allows us to put that in-feed anywhere in the run. So you can put the in-feed in the middle of the run, the end of the run, or wherever you would like. And this is a very important piece to that. And then the gray jumper distribution block would allow for jumper or in-feed in, and then jumper out, and then powers 2 power modules. So basically this is a pass-through block that allows you to connect from table. This diagram here shows you kind of how things plug together. So you can see the in-feed kit is called out there. The in-feed kit is going to be a little bit of a bunch of pieces that go together, but it provides maximum flexibility in however you want to plan, whether you want the in-feed in the middle or the end, and allows you to power any number of modules with that in-feed kit. So the in-feed kit would include the in-feed, a gray distribution, or sorry, a white distribution block, a little 12-inch jumper to a gray distribution block. And then you would plug your modules into that, and then you would get a jumper kit with the next distribution block to put the next table into. So again, these are important pieces for connecting the system together, but they do not need to be ordered separately. So we've tried to make it easy. So a pattern worth repeating. Why is it called pattern? Because it's easy to just plug things together. That top diagram shows you the in-feed kit on the end. So a maximum length run for that would be 50 feet. But in the middle, you see that the infeed is in the middle of the run. Now you can go 50 feet in each direction. So this is significantly more distance than we can get currently with Activate. This is great if you're using tables on the perimeter and you need to go longer runs. And then the bottom is just an example of, you know, if you don't need to go 50 feet each direction, obviously you cannot exceed 50 feet in any direction. So those are kind of the distances that we need to remember. So comparing Activate to Pattern, what does it look like? So the number of modules per infeed on Activate, maximum is 8. Pattern is 20. The maximum length of run with Activate is 40 feet, where Pattern is 50 feet, or 100 if you're using that infeed in the middle. The placement of the infeed, it can go anywhere in the run. So middle, end, 3/4 of the way through, all of them are options. The module offering is very limited with Activate because it's required that we use Power Up or Villa, and then we have our under table power, which is the RPTs. With Pattern, we have standardized on the select modules that we reviewed earlier. However, we do have access to a slew of other modules through our supplier, which are compatible with Pattern. So it gives us more flexibility, as well as the modular design in the modules allows us to really customize through modified products if needed. We talked about Activate being incompatible with GFCI outlets and that being an issue. We have, made sure that our system going forward is compatible. So Pattern is compatible. And again, Activate is UL listed, Pattern is ETL listed, but they are considered equal. So if you look at just the number of modules as well as the length of run, and then also our module offering, which is really important to our clients, you can see that with Pattern, we have a much more capable system than we currently offer. So planning rules for Pattern on Pirouette. In general, Pattern will plan like Activate does on Pirouette. So if you're familiar with Pirouette, there are Activate specific models, or in this case, we've now renamed them as single circuit specific models. And you would go to that section in the price list, and then your power pick gives you the options for Activate and now Pattern. So it's all in one list so that you can easily compare the options. Single circuit models always have and still will include a trough, Velcro wire managers, all table components for that power pick. So that includes the modules. And any in-table jumpers. If you have more than 2 modules per table, you would need an in-table jumper, and then distribution blocks and gangers. We'll talk a little bit about the snap-in modules in a little bit, but they will always come with a grommet in the work surface to make sure that we have good cord management with those. We do have some new options available in our list of offering, which includes the Dean clamp-on and the Double undersurface as standard product options now. Table-to-table jumpers and infeeds are still specified separately. So you order your Pirouette model number, you pick your power pick for whichever module you want or modules, and then you need to order your table-to-table jumpers and your infeeds as separate line items. And that is because we don't know how you're configuring the room, as well as we don't know your power needs and if one infeed would be enough for 9 tables or not. So those are going to be required to be ordered separately. We have an extensive statement of line. It's based on the modules, and that selection is more extensive than we've had in the past, but we also have roughly the same jumper lengths as we had with Activate and then infeeds. So it's a list of standard configurations of power picks on Pirouette that you can see on the screen. There are a lot of options. There are more options than we had before. We tried to anticipate what options would be needed and make them standard, but not every option is available on every table. So tables with two modules as a standard option would be the 84-inch and wider. So hopefully that, it looks a little cumbersome when you look at the list, but really you get pretty much half the choices for each table model. Table-to-table jumpers, as I had mentioned, are specified separately, and we've simplified the lengths of the jumpers. So with Pirouette and Activate, we had specified the shortest jumper possible for a configuration. The problem is that didn't always support reconfiguring, and that's really one of the great things about this system is, you know, you put Pirouette on casters and you can easily plug it together, reconfigure, and then plug it all back together again. When you had a jumper that was too short, that wasn't possible. So we tried to figure out what would be the worst case scenario for layouts, and then that is the recommended jumper that we are going to be recommending for that size table instead of by layout. This gives us maximum flexibility, but we also made sure that our jumpers were priced accordingly so that they were pretty close in price, so you don't have to worry so much about the budget in doing it this way. So Pirouette and Computer Labs. I see a lot of pictures, or I get a lot of questions on using Pirouette and Computer Labs, and I take that as a compliment that, you know, we're wanting to use Pirouette in that situation. I think it's great that it works that way, and we have developed robust enough wire management to support that. However, when we thought through how we were actually going to be routing cords and plugging things in, the previous trough design had some flaws when it came to Computer Labs. So we did redesign it to make it a better solution. The snap-in RPT modules, which I'll show you a close-up on in the next slide, I believe, it's moved to the user side. And anytime you specify a table with underpower table, it will automatically come with a grommet in the surface. So now you can take the cords from the monitors on the table and route those cords through the grommet into the trough and plug them in there. It's a much cleaner design than we had before, where cords would be hanging over the back end of the table. We also included cord pass-throughs on the upper non-user side of the trough so that you can put your plugs through there in case you don't want to run it through a grommet. So lots of options on how to make this clean, and a nice improvement for us. So any table you order with pattern models, or like any pattern model that you order on Pirouette, will include this design trough. And the price list has also been updated in the accessories section to this style trough as well. There's a little bit of overlap between Activate and Pattern, and the Activate models will continue to come with the previous trough design. So the snap-in RPT, I've talked about it briefly a couple times throughout the training. It is our new under-table power module. It is replacing our RPT. It just snaps into the trough, and it has 2 power outlets. It is available with Pattern only, but it's a low price point way to add more power to a table. What else do you need to know? You still cannot plug 3-prong modules into Pattern receptacles due to code restrictions. So this means that if you order a Pirouette table with those snap-in RPT under table power modules, that you can't put a Dean clamp on the back edge and power it through the snap-in RPT. You would need to use Pattern components to do that. That is a code requirement. So planning rules, maximum is 10 distribution blocks. So we know automatically we're using 2 distribution blocks with the in-feed kit. So we can use up to 8 more in our run. The total length of the jumpers that can be powered by 1 in-feed is 600 inches, or you can go 600 each direction if it's in the middle. The in-feed can be placed anywhere within the run and must be plugged into a building outlet. Multiple power module styles are available and can be mixed within the run. It's still a 15 amp system, so that's the max draw. They don't recommend that you're pulling 15 amps for more than 3 hours, so plan towards 12 amps sustained. And we have tools for that as well. So really, what does that look like when you look at the power options on Pirouette? You have an option of 1, 2, or 3 modules based on the table size and the configuration. And really, if we look at the maximum number of tables per in-feed, it's a maximum of 9 in some cases and 5 in others. And then also The maximum number of modules, if you had 9 tables with 2 modules each, would be 18. So the system maximums don't always correlate to our table options. So this chart as well is in the planning guide, as well as is planned into CAD. But again, it is a 15 amp system. So what does that mean? We do have an amp planning chart in our planning guide that gives you some rough numbers on what you can expect. So a computer monitor is half an amp, and a laptop is an amp. So just really trying to anticipate what's going to be plugged into the system and how often. So if you're planning a computer lab, it's pretty easy to estimate, how many desktops and how many monitors are going to be plugged in. If it's a training room, it's a little bit harder to anticipate. Are you charging your cell phone and your laptop, or are you not charging anything? So there, it's kind of trying to understand how the user's using the space and anticipate their needs. So if you overdraw on power, what happens? Once you reduce the load, so unplug some things or turn them off, there is a reset button located on the in-feed that can be pushed, and that will reset the system. I recommend that if you find yourself in this situation, that you evaluate your needs and see if it's worth adding an additional in-feed, so that you don't continually have this problem going forward. So again, the maximums: 10 distribution blocks, 20 modules, 50 feet in either direction, so up to 100 feet, 15 amps or 12 amps sustained. I have sent, or I will be sending, a sample kit to each district, as well as I will have some for corporate employees, so that you can get your hands on each of the module options, as well as see modules representative in each of the standard colors. So those kits will likely be going out the end of November, so you can keep an eye out for them, but we are including all of the modules, as well as an in-feed kit, which includes an example of a jumper and both distribution blocks. We are also sending 2 Naker modules. One is corded and one is patterned, so you can easily show your clients the difference between the two. So additional information: we are planning a 6-month period from launch on when a product launches, where Activate and Pattern would be available until when Activate is no longer standard. So we are encouraging you to encourage your clients to transition sooner rather than later, as Activate is not a long-term solution for KI at this point. We understand that it will take time to get them either comfortable with the solution, or to have the right time for them to switch based on where the product is going, but the sooner the better. So what if I have a table that has existing power and I want to upgrade to some new power options so that they can power USB-C, for example? Our design team has developed a tool that can be used as a template for retrofitting existing cutouts to our Naker cutout only. So that bottom image there shows the overlap between our existing cutout, which is the narrower one, and the Naker cutout. They're very close in size, but they won't quite fit, unfortunately. So a tool has been developed that can be set into, you can see the bottom portion of that tool on the top there, can be set in the existing cutout, and it gives you a template to cut around to make it a little bit bigger. This tool is great because it makes sure that you're actually centered on the existing cutout, so you're not shifting too much to one side and making it look funny. As a reminder, all of our electrical components have a 15-year warranty. Modified products. So typically our policy is no modified products for 6 months, but this one we're really trying to be flexible on, based on knowing that we're in a transition period, and also knowing that electrical is it's something we do a lot of currently through modified products, and it's a little bit easier to manage than a KI manufactured product. So our modified products team will entertain PMRs for new electrical and existing products outside of Pirouette, as long as it's using current parts. So that means any of the corded modules can easily be put into any of our other table lines that haven't transitioned yet, as well as if you're looking to do pattern, you should be able to do it with our existing parts without a problem based on the jumper lengths that we are offering. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in this transition period to make sure that our clients are happy with a consistent solution, even if it's not standard yet. So we have a slew of resources available. I showed you the pattern animation that will be available for you and your use. You can share that with clients. We will have cut sheets for pattern and the modules, which will be available next week with launch. The price list has been updated. Product specifications have been updated. We really revamped the planning guide. It's now all-inclusive of different base designs and is about 60 pages. But it's a great resource for a lot of the images that I shared with you today that you can reference back to. We also have a KI Power Solutions selection manual for tables. If you're not familiar with this document, please email me. I will happily send you a copy. It's a great resource that really walks you through how to determine the correct power needs based on the client's needs, and that way we can make sure that we're servicing them with the best solution for their needs. We've developed a frequently asked questions document. CAD and Revit symbols are going to be available. There's also a module comparison document for more internal use, but it walks you through our current options compared to our new options, as well as this webinar is being recorded, so you can reference back to this at any time. Pattern is, and all of the new modules on Pirouette would follow the Pirouette lead time, which is currently 4 weeks, and those come out of Bonduelle. Again, this is launching next week, Wednesday on the 17th. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, but we will take questions live now. I don't know if any came in.
So kind of catching you up while you were talking, Michelle, who's actually hiding off camera, Melissa can point to her if she wants to.
She's helping.
She's helping out, and we're collectively doing a bang up job, if I do say so myself. There was a question about vertical wire manager, and Michelle chimed in that for full context, the in-feed kit actually includes that vertical leg manager for Pirouette, which was awesome. There was a question specific to CAD training and planning, and Michelle and Jennifer Burke confirmed that there would be more material coming out as far as planning. And then I actually hadn't thought of this one in a while, but it was always an ask. Bob Steffen had chimed in about the round module, the node module, being used in the center of like a center column table as a modified product request. And that was definitely something that we addressed as needing further development. So, or at least examination.
Yeah, that is a possible option, but there's different guidelines based on column diameter and all of that. So if you submitted a PMR to the team for an Athens with the node, I'm sure they would be able to tell you what those requirements are. And that was it for questions. Anybody else?
So far.
All right. I rocked it then.
You did. You did.
It was the team effort, so.
It was. Anything else? Just a quick, I know there were some people that joined a little later. Information on the Ruckus whiteboards. That has been postponed. If you have any questions specific to that, if you've already got somebody interested in that, please reach out to Kyle Boudreau directly. That was just a late breaking change, probably less than an hour before we started this webinar. Kyle had reached out to us and said a couple of things changed and he wouldn't be able to review that product with us this morning. So again, if you have anything specific since launch on Wednesday, please reach out to Kyle Boudreau directly. So. Just as a reminder, this will be recorded, or this recording will be put out on the LMS when this is published. Let's see. Would Villa modules still be available as an option, or is that intended to be culled as well? That's a good question.
So Villa will be available throughout the entire transition period, whether it's standard or not. You might need to do a PMR once it's kind of phased out of a product, but it will be available at least until we're through the transition, as well as the 6-month overlap on that last product.
Another question, Christina Sandberg says, if someone wants to reconfigure existing Activate will jumpers still be available for an extended period of time?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have access to Activate and components for quite some time. I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get them even once we've phased out of the system to support any COQ or reconfiguration efforts.
And based on your conversations we've had in preparation for this, Melissa, you were still thinking this is going to be an 18 to 24 month changeover.
Yeah, by the time so every top drawing for every product that needs to transition needs to be touched and updated. So it's a time-consuming process for us, so it will take some time. Michelle just wanted me to mention as well that pattern jumpers are not compatible with Activate and vice versa. They are two completely separate systems. So, we're going to try and maintain the ability to get components for both for the extended foreseeable future, but I don't have that crystal ball, unfortunately. So
the next question is slightly out of your wheelhouse, but because it's power module specific, it's asking about will power modules be available for retrofit on fixed tables hardwire, so fixed seating? Will the fixed seating team be taking on the Naker and all those other elements? And I know they have started.
Yeah, so fixed seating started it. And when it comes to like 10 wire, we have the ability to, do the 3-prong to go into those receptacles. So, I mean, ultimately, we should be able to update just about everything with the initiatives that we have going on or that we have completed. The only things that are not changing at this point are like the 10-wire system. There's no plans to change 10-wire systems. There's no need to.
All right. Any other questions? All right. And again, just one last reminder, the whiteboard portion of this training was postponed to a later date, and reach out to Kyle Boudreau directly if you have any questions. So, Melissa, any parting words to the group?
No, I really appreciate you all taking the time to join me today. I'm a resource to you, so if you have any questions, please reach out to me directly, and I am happy to help you in any way I can.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.